The Financial Markets Authority has fired a shot across the bows of property companies targeting the general public with products meant for sophisticated investors. Acting Director of Capital Markets, Paul Gregory, is with me. And Paul, one of the interesting things that came out of this is some of the techniques they're using, such as SEO and Google AdWords to promote themselves up the listings. What can you do about that kind of thing as a regulator?
We put out some guidance separately and earlier about marketing and advertising and about the overall impression that's created by the advertising and marketing that you do. Now, obviously, use of search engine optimization and AdWords is more about the algorithms and the mechanisms that sit underneath that, but certainly that's an area that we are interested in, not least because of the sorts of manifestations that have come up in this work, which is that AdWords and search engine optimization, where somebody's searching for Sharesies or term deposit, and then all of a sudden a wholesale property investment pops into your screen.
Yeah, so that is something that is within your power to kind of say to these guys, look, you shouldn't be doing that?
So we've raised concerns about it, and that's something that I think we need to do some extra work on, yes, in terms of our sort of overall marketing and advertising brief on fair dealing.
Of course, the big problem you've identified is the use of the eligible investor certificates, and you even had one provider who was recommending a preferred person to sign these off. Are you able to tell us who that was?
No, we haven't named them in the piece of work. We have made some referrals, of course, or we will be making some referrals of the people who were supposed to be part of the gatekeeping between the sort of retail protected area and the less protected wholesale area to their professional bodies. So that would, because lawyers, accountants, and financial advisors are supposed to be part of this in terms of signing off the certificates. And we'll be referring some of those to their professional bodies for further consideration.
You're not naming those providers at the moment, though. Why?
Well, we're referring people to professional bodies who will decide themselves what to do with it and whether to name them or not as part of that, in the same way as we wouldn't refer anybody referred to the Serious Fraud Office, for example.
This has been such a problem that you're even saying to the providers that they shouldn't be using the term eligible investor because it makes it sound like it's separate from wholesale investor. Just describe a bit some of the problems you had or you uncovered with the use of this.
So we took a fairly conservative interpretation of what we regarded as a deficient certificate because some of the submitters or some of the organisations who we talked to in the course of this said that it's debatable as to what reasonable grounds might be. And so in response to that, we took a reasonably conservative interpretation of it. And where we've landed is we don't think it's debatable that it's deficient if the certificate doesn't exist, if the certificate has no grounds written on it at all, or if the grounds written on it are wholly inappropriate to the sorts of investments that have been considered here. For example, KiwiSaver, I've sold my farm, or I've refurbished my house.
Right, so these are things you are coming across on a relatively regular basis.
So certainly amongst the 7 warnings that we have given from the 23 entities that we looked at, yes, that is exactly the sort of deficiency that we identified, and we've spelt that out actually in the materials we've released today.
And of course, we had the case involving Duval earlier and misleading advertising, and that was quite a warning to the sector. Did you find that had an effect, or are you still seeing the same kinds of things going on?
We're certainly seeing, and part of the reason for doing the work in the first place, which has we've been doing this for months, is the amount of concerns and complaints that we were getting, and part of it was because of the sort of increasing prominence and frequency of the advertising. And certainly, obviously, an entity can advertise as frequently and through a lot of the channels that they wish to use. It's just how they do it. That can be the issue. So we've highlighted a couple of examples here. The Duval case and the one management GP case that we also took are other examples of where the overall impression of low risk and term deposit comparisons and things like that we just don't think is reasonable things to do in advertising of offers of this sort. And of course they sort of fit together. So how you attract people to your offer, and then what's the gateway between when you've attracted them and when you accept them is the eligible investor certificate, or certainly was in this case. And then there are rules for how you use those. They weren't adhered to, and so not only the funnel but for getting people into the offer, but how they were then ultimately accepted into the offer was problematic. So it's the pipeline here that we've taken issue with.
So you've issued the formal warnings. Is enforcement the next step? How prepared are you to sort of, really flex your muscles?
Certainly, there's the referrals, but the other aspect is that from what we've found in the work, that we have actually opened several inquiries, and they're at a very early stage, and obviously for the same natural justice reasons that we can't name who we've referred to professional bodies, we can't provide any further information about that.
So it's happening.
It is happening.
And are you looking retrospectively? Because, of course, a lot of these investor certificates would have been signed incorrectly.
Yes. Yeah, we are looking retrospectively. It's from what we have already found, yes.
Paul Gregory, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.